Hello everybody, I'm now using with Ubuntu on the MacBook Pro, and before you watching anymore, please subscribe my channel. Okay, and then currently you can see there is another different one it is using the MacBook Pro, but it's different because you can see there is a MacBook Pro. There's no problem at all. It's working at all, and then you are thinking that I'm removing the all my Mac OS and I'm installed from scratch. If you think that you may be wrong. And yeah. Uh, and there is a maybe count setting. Yeah, I was trying to get the settings and yeah, details. I found the details, and it is the memory is 7.7 gigabytes and the Intel Core i5 CPU and the internal is 2100, and the NOM is 3.30.1 and the OS type 64-bit and the disk is 8.2 gigabyte. That's just really cool. I've installed using the Mac using the external SD card, which is very old. I was using the HD camera, but now it's really useful for plug and play like the Raspberry Pi. It's really cool, and the Ubuntu runs very well on the booting from the SD card. You can install very easily by choosing the way to install. Then you don't have to remove your own MacBook Pros and iOS, and Mac OS, and you can use very easily. So, and there is something which applications work. All of the applications work, and you can see that everything is work very well. One thing I don't like very much is that you can see the fully charged. Everything works, and the Bluetooth works, and the Wi-Fi works, and I don't know the camera work, but very beautiful. Oh, sorry, I'm very handsome, and I don't want to show you the face now. But in here, this my battery status is showing here 77%. So there's a bit different thing. You can see in there, but mostly you can use it there. Why you should use the MacBook or something like a Raspberry Pi in here, because there's a many reason. You can see that the system is a 3.9 gigabyte. The system SDB1 is 7.5 gigabytes, and you can see everything. And updates actual, okay, and you can see a 7.1 gigabyte EF5 at 32. But you can see the hard drives. Oh, very well. Yeah, 112.8 gig unknown. You can't touch anything. You don't have to touch anything, but it is a really boot from the SD card. I have been used in the earlier times. I'm not a fan of that thing, and I'm not no idea how to install the MacBook Pro, Ubuntu in the MacBook Pro. But one reason I have to use is most of the tools that are required to use is the set of tools which you need to do is the first one is a dia. Dia is very useful for drawing the UML diagrams and very good for drawing everything. I love it using the software development circle, and I use it as a dial. Oh, maybe dia install now, and also Inkscape. Inkscape is very good. Inkscape is very good, and also Pencil. Pencil is open source GUI prototyping. It's really cool, and I use Inkscape, and I use everything mostly for Inkscape style, and I mostly design every logos in the Inkscape. I'm not a logo designer. I backtrace the logos from my clients, and also some of the tools are really require. I can do some tools which are very expensive on the MacBook Pro or Mac OS are very simple and mostly free on Linux. That's all. I use Linux on the MacBook Pro. Sometimes so I have to use some applications to make the requirements, or when you have to do for some reasons you are MacBook Pro can become a Linux machine. Plug in your SD card or micro SD with your adapter and start working on Linux. There are many pros and cons in there. The number one is very depend on your SD card. You see, there is a bit lag, but not very lag as a virtual machine. You can use the GNOME 3.0. It is really okay, no problem at all. But there is really base is because, as known as earlier, you have to think or choose your hard disks, your SD card for class 10 at least. I'm using the class 6, which is really good for the old time. It's only for testing. It's really cool, and I rarely use that thing. But if you use for daily lives and you have a plug-in, you should use the class 10 SD card at least. And another thing is the SD card is a bit out of that, so you should use the micro SD card with the adapter, but you should choose the best adapter in your market. And I recommend using the micro SD card, but I highly recommend that is using the SD card, which is the bigger and direct contact with your machine. There's no adapter losing, then there's no disconnectivity, and everything works very well on the disc. So you can see that my Ubuntu on the MacBook Pro running very well, because, and the one thing I have the big problem around here is I've installed multiple desktop environment on the VirtualBox, or maybe some other tools are coming that I'm using the Linux, and I developed the PHP and Laravel especially. So I use the MacBook, I use the Vagrant. So I use the Vagrant with the VirtualBox, which is really cool. But the cons of VirtualBox is which is very limited on resource, because I will describe detail in another chapter or another video. That's why virtual machines are more better, but some desktop environment that is not the real thing, because the graphic and the instruction sets are converted to the machine code and machine instruction and run it back, which is really not real time responsive. And also another thing is you see my MacBook Pro is only the 1 to 8 GB of storage, so I use mostly of them, and I have only the 10 or 15 GB of storage left. But there's one problem is I don't want to share any space, that because I cannot play any games on the MacBook Pro I use for the jobs or text. I cannot use anymore for the gaming or the virtual machine, or because the Vagrant takes 11 GB of my storage, which is really cool. The Vagrant is cool, but to test it, I don't want to give you. I don't want to give the virtual machine to be so, and the memory will be eaten out of that all. And also the performance of the VirtualBox is, to be honest, is not very clearly good. So I'm using that thing. So you can see that there will be many virtual things. Virtual things are not the reality thing. So you cannot get the fully experience of the lovely desktop environment. So here is my installation of Ubuntu, and then I am trying to install the OpenSUSE on the MacBook Pro. There is a not clear documentation I've found so far. So if you have found some documentations, comment below, and if you like our video, subscribe again my channel and turn on notification to clear and concise explanation of Linux. Thank you so much for all, and we will meet in next video.